Hey, what is going on, you guys? It is Mr. No Sleep here from Old School RuneScape, and welcome to a brand new loot video for you all today. Today, at long last, ladies and gentlemen, I bring you loot from 10 hours of soloing Tombs of a Masket. Now, this will all be scaled to 150, so every raid we do have the chance to hit every single expensive rare item, but our chances are lower if you were to, say, be doing this in expert mode or have more invocations turned on. Now, what you're seeing on screen here is actually me doing my final raid for this video. I kind of wanted to give you guys a walkthrough of how I do every single room, my thoughts on them, and show you guys all of my invocations. So overall, this is a loot from 10-hour video, but it is a solid loot from 20 TOAs because I figure the average person can do a TOA in 30 minutes. So 20 of them equals 10 hours, although I only came close once to getting a 30-minute raid, which is actually what you're seeing on screen here. This was my fastest raid up until this very moment, and I figured I would show you guys my best example after learning all that I have so far throughout these last 4 days of attempting TOA and soloing it the whole time. Really, the only regret I have about this video is that I did not do it sooner. You guys know me when it comes to new content. It usually takes me 6 months minimum to try it out, or sometimes never. So here we are. Alright, so for my first room, I do go with the Guardian of Crandis, and this is the crocodile named Zebak. Basically, the first room you have before him, you just have to water a plant until it gets 200 HP. This is a pretty bad example though, because I did take a little bit of damage here, but it's no big deal. Shouldn't be taking any damage at the boss, so let's go ahead and try him out. And this is by no means a guide of how to do TOA. If anything, this is just my experience because you guys have never seen me here before, and I didn't live stream this, so this is really just me doing it. Again, this is my 20th raid, so yeah, feel free to leave any advice or criticism in the comments below. Alright, so with Zebak, after I finish all of my specs with my Fang, I'm using range the whole entire time from then on out. I simply stand where I need to stand, and as soon as the jugs come out, I push them towards the rocks and then attack them. This way, all that acid on the ground gets away so I can stand behind these rocks so that when his special attack comes out, I won't be taking any damage. Alongside this, you just have to pray switch. The rock, you pray range, and the fireball, you pray magic. As long as you do this in time and you stand where you need to stand based on those things that appear occasionally, you know, you should be fine. Shouldn't really be taking any damage. For this one, I don't think I even had to sip one brew. I always do this room first. It's just what I saw on a guide and I stuck with it. Yeah, it's a pretty difficult room at times, so I like to get it over with first, and then right after that I go to the Guardian of Het, which is the mirror game, followed by the fight. So for the mirrors, at first this looks so intimidating, especially for me because I'm really bad at puzzles, but this actually was easy to learn. For some reason I just overestimated it. And yeah, you just have to make sure the light beam bounces off the right mirrors and then hits the statue that's all the way to the east, and every time it does that you'll be able to mine, and it usually happens twice, and then you just finish up the room. And you have to remember to deposit your pickaxe when you're done before you go into the next fight. So yeah, this room sometimes takes me a lot longer, but this was actually my quickest experience here, so I'm really glad I recorded this raid instead of the one before, because sometimes it can take up to 5 minutes if I'm just not seeing it correctly. Alright, now we're on to Octa. So I start this fight with the Imbued Heart, and then I'm just going to use the Sang Staff until he spawns his little minions, and then once they spawn, I'll be killing them with melee, and then once the light pattern starts, I just have to follow the pattern accordingly. And once that ends, you just continue to kill the little minions, and continue on with the light patterns when they show up. And as soon as you kill the minion, you are able to kill Octa. You just have to watch whatever he's praying, and do, of course, the opposite. He'll also be switching attack styles. Sometimes I can't tell what he's doing, but I'll take the first hit, and then I'll just know what he's doing for the next, you know, quite a few hits, and I'll just use my prayer accordingly then. But for the most part, this is an easy room if you don't make any mistakes, obviously. And I think I made one, but overall didn't really use any supplies. So yeah, at the very end, a lot of bubbles come out, and you do have to avoid those for the final hits. Now here's the spirit bundle, because you just finished 2 bosses, you get a bundle. I always choose life first, just in case I need a lot more supplies for the final boss, or I make a lot of mistakes during the raid. I would recommend choosing life for both spirits. You do get another one at the very end. That's if you're brand new like I was, because I will use all those supplies. But once you get a little bit more advanced, you can definitely switch up what you choose. Alright, room number 3, the Path of Scabaras. So you have to do all sorts of puzzles in this room. As you can see, at very first glance, I did the obelisk simply by using a blowpipe. You light them all up. Then the next one, you just have to follow a path that gets lighted up at the beginning. You can't forget what it is. Then you just stand on floors and they light up again. you have to make sure the whole room gets lit up, and then following that, you have to go to another room where you have symbols on the ground. You have to align them per room, and as long as they all match, you can do this room, and it usually takes less than 2 minutes. Very, very easy room once you do it just your first time. You should be able to remember everything. All right, now we move on to the boss. This is Kefri. Very easy boss. You just have to avoid the fireball attack and the dung that he shoots out, and as soon as he dies from his first form, you just kill all the surrounding bugs. Focus on the arcane scarab and then kill the other one, and you can also kill the swarms if you feel like it. That'll help out not giving him as much HP. But yeah, you just pray range and just use melee here, and it's very easy. Probably one of the easiest rooms, which is why I save it for second to last. What you don't want to happen is get stuck in between 2 lines of dung, which is definitely possible, and it did happen to me here, but luckily everything worked out. And other than that, it's pretty good. And now we move on to the final room before the boss. This is the Path of Apmeken. Big old gorilla goes by the name of Baba. Reminds me of Murdaugh with Pawpaw. But anyway, this is the most annoying room in my opinion. So you have to start out before the boss fight with all of these monkeys killing you, or at least trying to kill you. But if you bring Blood Barrage and stack them all together, it goes pretty smooth. And in the meantime, you do have to repair the pillars by simply just clicking on them pretty quickly as soon as the red light flashes with a hammer. And then you have fumes that come from a hole that you have to neutralize by just pouring the liquid in them as soon as they light up. And while you're doing this, just kill all the monkeys, whether or not if you want to use melee, range, or magic. They have a certain combat style that is effective against them. But from what I've seen, using Piety with the Fang works pretty well, and Blood Barrage works good as well if you need HP. Alright, so it's final fight time with Baba. We're going to go ahead and put melee on for this one, and we are also going to be using range at certain points as well. So if I have any super combat or range pots left, I'm definitely going to be sipping them here, and I'm going to rush Baba with all of my special attacks. Avoid all of the falling boulders that fall very quickly, and if they mount into a rock, stand by that rock in case the magic attack comes out so that you don't take any damage. And then during the course of the fight, 2 times there will be a bunch of boulders that start coming at you, and you have to kill the black one. So that's what I did every single time, and I made sure to not get hit by any of the boulders in the meantime. Then you just continue on with the fight. Other than the speed of the boulders and that black special attack that he does, it is very quick, and this is the last room, so it is the hardest. So it can be very scary, but honestly, it's one of my easiest rooms nowadays. So we got that done with no problem, and now we have another helpful spirit that is going to give us a supply bundle, and this time I'm going to choose Chaos, because not only does it give me smelling salts, but it will give me liquid adrenaline, which gives you more special attack. This liquid adrenaline halves the special attack cost over 150 seconds, and the smelling salts restore run energy by 25% and boosts all of your stats by 25%. So before I start this boss fight, I'm going to go ahead and use those smelling salts so that I'm 120 plus all stats, and during the course of the fight, you'll also be seeing me use a silk dressing. That's that little note, and it heals 100 HP slowly. And then you have the blessed crystal scarab, which restores 72 prayer points slowly as well. So I'm going to be using those just because I have them in my supply bundle, and it'll definitely help me out. But I start this fight by using a blowpipe on the obelisk until it's about 250 HP, and I do take some damage. That's just to uneven the HP of the wardens. Alright, now as the obelisk is dying, of course you have to avoid those flashing lights by standing a few squares away, and once the obelisk dies, I'll be putting on my magic gear ready for the fight. So here's the first warden coming up. Anytime he throws a red skull my way, I'll be praying magic so I don't take much damage, and of course the obelisk can also throw red skulls that flash, and you'll see them by the black imprint on the ground, and you have to spam click run away from that or you get electrocuted. So once you get the warden down to his first phase, you can actually start specking out this core is what it's called, and since I have the adrenaline, this is going to be incredible because I can use multiple specs, and once it goes away, you just simply pick up where you left off. Now you're going to see red lasers on the ground that spawn. These just come towards you, so you can either run away from them or just run through them and take a little bit of damage. Sometimes you don't take any at all. I think it just depends how you run through it. And then once it goes down, odds are you might be able to get the core to completely die with all your specs remaining, and you'll actually be able to start the boss fight. But for most of the time, I have to go through a third phase where I do everything again, and then the core will die. But yeah, now you're going to want to put on the range armor, which is what I did, the full crystal here. As you can see, I have marked tiles, which you've never seen in a video of mine before, because this actually called for necessary action. You know, these tiles are very important. So I stand where he's not messing with the ground. Also, skulls will pop up, and whenever they do, you just kill them quickly with your melee weapon. weapon. Once he messes with the left side, I'll run to the left side after, and then once he, you know, messes with the middle, I'll run to the middle after, and so on and so forth. Now, as you're damaging him slowly, you're going to have 2 bosses spawn. Those are 2 of your choice. Personally, for this, I choose Zabak and Baba, and overall, it goes pretty well. I just have to pay attention to if it's going to be a Protect Magic or Protect Range Prayer from Zabak. And in the meantime, I'm still paying attention to where I have to stand while killing the Warden. At this time, I don't really know what Baba is doing. I've never really paid much attention to him, and I don't even really know if he's damaging me. I think he's just throwing boulders, which occasionally I have to avoid. So yeah, if this is going bad, then that's why I have the Ambrosia. This potion heals everything to max from 0 plus boost juice. So as long as you have these 2 sips at the end, this is how I always survive the final phase. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how I do Tombs of Amascut. Keep in mind, I have only been doing this for about 4 days now, and I'm still learning. You know, you never cannot learn. As you can see, this was my very first attempt where I got the closest to almost killing the boss. But the blowpipe in Missouri was horrible in my opinion, so that's why I sold it and went with the full crystal, and wow, what a difference. It was just incredible to actually complete this for the first time. What you guys just saw in the first clip was my 20th raid, my final raid of the video. Now I'm showing you guys the journey from the very start of actually completing these. My first ever drop, I actually did receive an elite clue scroll, which I tried to make into a master, but I don't have a hard clue, so I didn't end up doing that. I apologize, but maybe we'll get more elites throughout this video, you know, 20 loots overall. But yeah, definitely a good call to invest in the full crystal. It just not only looks awesome, it's the first time I'm owning it in general, and it just works out really well at quite a few bosses, including the main boss, so I really do enjoy it, and I don't see myself ever selling it, just probably going to continue to fix it. But yeah, that's basically it. That was how I did this. It took me a long time to learn. The guides that I watched weren't really that good, or maybe I just wasn't a good listener, but yeah, I saw that a lot of the general idea of the Tombs of Amascut is what I needed. I just needed to know basically what to do, and then by trial and error, I would eventually just learn the rest. And I did die quite a lot in the very beginning, but each death taught me something new, and I think I feel very comfortable with it these days. I don't know if it's better to solo or duo or trio it, but personally I've just been soloing things for the last couple of years. I kind of stopped group activities a while ago, so I'm probably just going to stick with soloing it for now. And obviously the goal now is just to show you guys all of my progress throughout the last 4 days and show you guys my new personal bests, as well as just the final boss fights and the loot, because now you guys kind of know how I do this and how I go about it. And a recent change that I made probably like 18 raids in was the second time the spirit came around with a bundle of supplies. I started choosing the other options other than life, because I noticed that I stopped using so many super restores and Ceradome and Brews throughout the raid, including at the boss fight. So obtaining smelling salts as well as liquid adrenaline is a game changer. I only had those for like my last 5 raids, so the first 15 were such a struggle because I was doing the boss unpotted the whole time, not to mention just dying in other rooms. So those are huge game changers, and I'd really recommend you to bring them in every single raid or every single TOA that you end up doing. I really don't know how much of you guys watching this video have done TOA, but I'm sure it's a decent amount, because a lot of you guys have been wanting me to do this for such a long time now, and I always put it off. And you know what actually made me do it? It was the fact that I started loot from 10 hours of Abyssal Sire, and I was so bored with Abyssal Sire that I forced myself to learn TOA. So yeah, there you have it. That's what made this video happen, and now I gotta go back to Sire, so I guess I go learn TOB now or something. But now, on a more serious note, only one drop has been shown so far, which was just something that you can add to your Karis weapon. It's not really good for me, so you know, it's not like a rune pouch edition or anything. We really do need that thread, which is, I think, is like a 1 in 10 drop. So I mean, we're searching 20 total TOAs here. Hopefully we get that rune pouch thing so that I can have another rune in my pouch instead of just the basic 3. A lot of you guys been calling me out for that lately, and you know, here it is trying to get that pouch upgrade, so hopefully it happens. But the main goal here is a drop. You know, we can get a drop over 1 billion GP here. We can get any piece of Missouri, we can get the blade, we can get everything. Even though we're doing 150 scaled raids, I'm still eligible to get a drop. I recently asked guys who were in the bank today with a significant kill count. I told them what I was doing, which was 150 raids, and I said, you know, what is the odds that I I get an item, or what are the odds? And they both said the same thing. You have a 2% chance to get an item here. So if those guys' his answer is accurate, well, that's not exactly the best odds to get an item, but you never know. 10 hours a time. Technically, I think this video actually took like 20 hours to do based on these raid completion times. But again, it's a learning process, and the fact that I did 20 kind of makes me think that the average player does this in 30 minutes. I mean, my best raid, which you guys saw in the very beginning, was 36 minutes. And I mean, I was really proud of that. Like, I killed the core quicker than I ever had before, and I was using adrenaline and smelling salts, and I was just having great DPS in every boss room, no deaths and hardly any mishaps. So I don't know how people get below 36 minutes, honestly, but I know there's people out there that do like expert mode and they're doing like 500 scaled raids or something crazy like that. That to me, at this current point in time, seems unrealistic. But I said the same thing about completing TOA in just the beginning of it. So you know, if I can complete it now, who knows what I can do in the future with it. All right, well, that's number 19, and we still haven't had a rare, still haven't been able to upgrade my rune pouch, but loot from 10 hours of TOA, ladies and gentlemen, has been completed. 20 KC overall. Yes, I'm finally ranked on the high scores, so you'll see some more TOA with the ending in 0 series coming to you soon. And that is about it. Now it is time to price check. We're going to go ahead and open that cache of runes, and we did find 1,485 soul runes in that. So the overall loot from 10 hours of solo TOA comes out to be 4.9 million GP. I probably spent less than 1 mil in supplies, this being blood barrages, darts, scales, charges, stuff like that. Hopefully I'll see a rare in my future. Really happy I learned TOA. This is a lot of fun. I strongly recommend this to anyone. If you're like me and you just kind of avoid new content because you don't want to challenge yourself, don't get me wrong, I 100% understand where you're coming from, but I will vouch for TOA. It is definitely doable. You just have to give it some time, and you never know what can happen. I didn't get lucky, but maybe you will. Well, a big thank you to Matthew, Stivers, and SwanPositive, as well as all the other YouTube channel members for your monthly support. Ladies and gentlemen, that's all I have for you tonight. Thank you so much for everything, and until next time, Mr. No Sleep, out.